anything much happened since last week? Yeah, maybe a thing or two. You know, it's turned out to be one of the most historic weeks we've had in years. Almost too much to keep up with or summarize here, but what the heck? Let's give it a try. Last Saturday afternoon, former and now almost certainly future President Donald Trump was shot by a would-be assassin. He was shot by a would-be assassin during an outdoor rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. In what only can be understood as a miracle, Donald Trump slightly turned his head at the precise moment the bullet was fired, and instead of it hitting him in the temple and instantly killing him, it shot a hole through his right ear. The margin between life and death was a fraction of an inch. With all my heart, I say that Satan and his demons took the shot, but God and his angels simply said, "Not today, Satan." It was divine intervention. Tragically, a local fire chief there with his family dove over his daughters to shield them, and he was killed by the sniper's bullet. 2 others in the crowd seriously wounded. The assassin, a 20-year-old who was somehow able to get on a roof just 130 yards from the president, was killed by a police sniper within seconds of his firing the shots. In the moments after President Trump was shot, he was back on his feet, blood dripping down his face as he raised his fist in the air with the American flag in the background, and he told the crowd to fight, fight, fight. That photo reverberated around the world and with a single image defined Donald Trump. Not a man who cowers or covers in the presence of danger, but who stares it down and rebukes it in dramatic fashion. It's not something that one can rehearse or prepare for. It just isn't. What we saw was the intuitive response outwardly of what is in a person inwardly. As one would expect, the incident stunned the world and raised serious questions about the security precautions around President Trump. But it reminded all of us of the resolve and resilience of Donald Trump. He truly knows that God intervened and spared him for a bigger purpose than perhaps he has ever understood. No doubt. On Monday of this week, 2 other big things happened. The Republican National Convention opened in Milwaukee, and President Trump named Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to be his running mate. And on the opening night, President Trump entered the arena, bandage still on his right ear. He entered to the roar of a crowd who realized that but by God's grace in a fraction of an inch, he wouldn't be there. Attempts to get Donald Trump out of the way have included a fake news industry distorting and outright lying about everything he's ever said or done, a hateful and highly partisan deep state of Washington trying twice to impeach him over utterly false accusations. He's been harassed by repeated prosecutions and persecutions, relentless attacks by the elites of Hollywood and Silicon Valley, and he's experienced the contempt of the establishment in both the Republican and Democrat parties. Yet after 8 years of non-stop irrational hate and heat, he's still standing, and some of his harshest critics have become irrelevant. Now, on a personal note, I do think there was a highlight of the Republican convention this week, and it actually happened on Tuesday night. It was when that new governor of Arkansas took the stage. And delivered what was a spellbinding, emotional, and deeply personal endorsement of President Trump. Oh, did I mention that the new governor of Arkansas is my daughter? I don't know if I threw that in. But let me assure you that I am absolutely objective in my assessment of the brilliance of her speech. I am as objective towards her as MSNBC is about Donald Trump. But it was a terrific speech, and here's just a little slice of it.
When I was President Trump's White House press secretary, the best job. I got the chance to take my 4-year-old son, Huck, to Bring Your Kid to Work Day. Much like Jill now drags Joe to bring your husband to work day.
Well, there's so much happening, it's hard to keep up with it in just one show that airs each weekend. So fortunately, we have launched the new Huckabee Today show that airs right here on TBN, Monday through Friday at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. And from now until the election, you need to stay buckled up to follow the ever-changing events of the election season. But after this past week, I'm more convinced than ever that we are not alone in hope to see this nation find its way. As Forrest Gump, that great theologian, as he famously said, and God showed up. And we need to pray that God keeps showing up. My next guest is a mother, an author, and a fellow Arkansan. Lunden Roberts is the mother of Navy Joan Roberts, a beautiful little girl whose father happens to be the president's son, Hunter Biden. Unfortunately, little Navy has never met her father or grandfather. It's been a long journey for her to be recognized by the first family. But Lunden is here now to share with us the sordid and solemn details of her tell-all memoir, Out of the Shadows, My Life Inside the Wild World of Hunter Biden. Please welcome my fellow Arkansan, Lunden Roberts. Lunden, it is very nice to have you here. I know so many of the people that you grew up with in Batesville, Arkansas, and I think backstage we were talking about that a little bit, but I was able to read every bit of the book. And I hurriedly did it because I needed to do it before we did this interview. I found it captivating and fascinating, and part of it was that, I mean, this was a pretty, let's just say, a rugged story, especially in the first half of the book, as you first went to Washington as a young, idealistic kid from Arkansas and got kind of taken up in the world of Washington.
Yep, that's right, you know, and the first part of that book, you know, you see all that. You see kind of my journey that led me to Hunter, that led me to be a mother. And, you know, it's easy, I say, one can get lost in the sauce. And, you know, being in D.C. in a big city, somewhere that, you know, I was always, you know, rural Southern girl. And I was marinating in the sauce. I got lost in it.
That happens to so many people who go to D.C., and also to New York or Hollywood, any of the big spheres of influence. And what happened to you is not all that unusual. Young person in her 20s goes, they see the bright lights and they see the power, all the things that are just overwhelming. When you got caught up in that, were you even aware of what was happening to you at the time?
No. I talk about, you know, I was just young and dumb, but also living in the moment. And, you know, not necessarily thinking about the future or the consequences of your actions at that time. You're just young and free and just living in the moment.
One of the things that I was, I think, really taken by, there's so much of your story that has not been told honestly and truthfully. And one of the main things was, I was reading the book and realized your relationship with Hunter Biden was not a kind of a one-off, one-night relationship. You were working for him in his business as an assistant to him for a long time.
Well, you know, him and I had become friends and you know, crossed that line where, you know, now we're developing this on and off again relationship, and then I start working for him. And yeah, people don't understand, you know, that I knew Hunter over a year before I'd gotten pregnant. And people don't know that. They think that it was just, you know, some one-night stand that he has no recollection of.
Do you feel just awful how vilified you were by a lot of people in the media that never told your side of the story?
You know, it was hard. And, you know, I think by reading the book, you see the things that are so hard to deal with, especially, you know, just having a child or you're getting pregnant and putting yourself in that situation and living this private life, and now everything's public and there's so much scrutiny and so much judgment that's come your way. And, you know, you have to take accountability for your actions, but at the same time, it was, the way I was portrayed in the media was as if, you know, I wasn't worthy of ever being remembered or any recollection of, or being that friend and that someone that I thought that, you know, I was to him and he was to me.
I think it was interesting too, Lunden, that, you know, some of us, if we run for office, we're crazy enough to ask for it. So we know we're going to get hammered by the press. I mean, that's just, we ask for it. You didn't ask for it. You're just up there working. You're living this idyllic life of kind of the wild child, having a great time, party girl in Washington, like so many other people of your age group. And it never occurred to you that you're going to be front page news and you're going to have to deal with all this nonsense. That must have been just rattling to you and to your family.
Very much so. And, you know, people think, oh, she's a female looking for clout. She's gold digging. And it's like, you don't see me backstage walking, trying to get my anxiety under control, because this is putting myself out there. Yeah. And this is really hard for me to do, you know, to tell my story. But the book is dedicated to my daughter. It comes out the week before her birthday. And, you know, I don't know a better gift I can give my daughter than her mother's story. And I want her to someday, when the odds are against her, and there's a narrative being put on her, I want her to stand 10 toes down, know that her mother did and told her story, and that her story is worth telling.
Well, and you tell it with a level of candor that no one who reads it will say, well, she held a lot of things back. I think it's fair to say, Lunden, you held nothing back in the book.
It's pretty raw.
It is, but it also paints the picture of what is happening, not just to you, but to so many other young people who go to Washington. I want to continue with Lunden Roberts. We're going to be back and talk more. And I'm going to get to the part of the story that I think is the real essence of it. And I don't want you to miss this, because it is, for me, having read her book, the most powerful part of the story. And I think it will be an encouragement to all of you. More with Lunden Roberts right after this.
Still to come, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Kevin Sorbo discuss their new movie, The Firing Squad. And former American Idol contestant Clark Beckham takes the stage with a performance you don't want to miss. All that and more on Huckabee. MikeHuckabee.com and sign up for his free newsletter and follow @GovMikeHuckabee on X.
We are back with Lunden Roberts, who is the mother of Navy Joan Roberts, author of the new book called Out of the Shadows. Lunden, when we were talking before, we talked a lot about the relationship with Hunter Biden. There was a lot of things. There were drugs involved. There was really addiction involved, and things that really tell the story, some of which we know, but some we don't. And the part of it we don't really know is that there was a side of him that we never really have heard. And he had some qualities: kind, gentle at times, giving, thoughtful to people, street people, homeless people. It frankly was not the side of him that I expected to see.
And, you know, that's a big part of the story. And the relationship with him, you know, people see this person on the news and, you know, this horrible, evil person and this corrupt and all the things that go with that. And, you know, this is a story about, I wouldn't say humanizing, but yeah, I guess it humanizes. You know, he was in a dark place at that time.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, battling addiction, which he's been very candid about, you know, today. But you see that. You see this person and you see this empathy that I had for him, this love and this, you know, this care that I had for him, wanting to help him, but also guilty because you feel like you're enabling because you want to be around him. You know, he's somebody that you wanted to be around. He was intelligent and he was very witty, and you know, he was an adventure.
You made a tough decision when you found out you were pregnant, and there were two decisions really that came screaming out of the book. The first one was you were going to give birth to this baby. You were not going to abort her and end her life.
Right.
But the other decision that you wrestle with, you seriously considered giving birth and then ending your own life.
I did. That one's, there's some dark chapters, there's some funny chapters, and this was a very dark one, very hard for me to write. My co-authors, Josh and Aaron, had to really push me through to get these stories out of me. But, there was a time I knew that I wouldn't hurt myself as long as I was carrying her. But, even after I had her, I was detached. And I can remember even, them wanting me to give her her first feeding. And I was like, no, it's okay. And they're like, yeah. And then I think in my head, this might be one of the only pictures she ever has someday of her mother and her. And so, it wasn't until about 24 hours after she was born that she had one of those tests done where they prick the fingers, the bilirubin, and she was hurt, she was in pain. And I realized that, I'm her protector. I was put here to protect her, and I instantly got this, motherly instinct. And I mean, in a way, she saved my life. Being
what a beautiful thing, and that's what came across is that, you gave her life, and so many women would have not done that in that circumstance, would have just ended the pregnancy, but that was never an option for you.
No.
But then you kept your life. That maternal instinct, was that what it was that kicked in and made you say, by golly, I'm going to raise this child and give her my love?
It was, but also during those dark times, we have a lot of country roads in Arkansas, as you know.
Yes, we do.
I would drive and just pray as if like God was in the car with me and talk over and over. And sorry, it's kind of an emotional time, but it was the faith of a mustard seed, and it was becoming a mother that led me to, keeping my life. And it's the reason I'm able to stand here today and tell my story and hope that someday my daughter can be proud of me and admire me for it.
There have been some tough times getting Hunter to acknowledge that he was the father. You had to go to court and to take a paternity test to prove that he really was the father. And then he tried to wiggle out of the financial support. So the story has continued even beyond. Does he have any relationship with Navy now?
He started last September after the child support dispute. He had started Zoom calls. And, it went from, it was supposed to be one Zoom call a month because he says the two things that are most important to him is family and art. And so once a month, he could Zoom her and they could start a relationship, and she could pick out certain artwork that she liked of his and whatnot. And was going to do that once a month. And then once that relationship started building, it was once a week. And then, a couple times a week. And then she has a t-ball game. Well, he wants to Zoom and talk to her before it. And then there she sits with her little Nike hat on backwards and her uniform ready. And he comes on the Zoom and he sees her and he throws his hat on backwards and sits down to give her, that t-ball pep talk. But it's a void that, she's yearned for and she's wanted for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of at a standstill right now. I've written this book and I've had time to process his book and him having no recollection of me. So I would love to, give him that time to process my recollection.
I hope the day comes when he not only has a Zoom call, but he holds her in his arms, and that the entire Biden family welcomes, receives, and rejoices at this beautiful, because I'm going to tell you, I got to see her backstage. Navy is a beautiful, absolutely adorable young lady.
Well, thank you.
I thank God that you gave birth to her and did not prevent all of us from getting to know her. And I thank God you took care of your life and gave her the mother that she deserves and obviously adores.
Well, thank you.
What a beautiful end to what could have been a tragic story.
Good. Thank you.
Lunden, thank you so very much. You can pick up your own copy of the book, Out of the Shadows, My Life Inside the Wild World of Hunter Biden. If you go to Huckabee.tv, you can click on Lunden's page at that website and direct how to get the book. Speaking of wild, our very own wild man, Keith Bilbrey, is here to tell us what's coming up on the show next. Keith?
Well, I'll try to settle down. Next, we shine the spotlight on actors Cuba Gooding Jr. and Kevin Sorbo. And later, ventriloquist Todd Oliver takes the stage right here on Huckabee.
One of the things that our studio audience gets to experience that you get just a little taste of, but nowhere near what they get to experience. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the extraordinary and energetic music that we get all during the evening because of the best band in America, Trey Corley and the Music City Connection. A powerful new film is coming to theaters on August the 2nd. I hope you circle that date on your calendar and not forget it. The film is called The Firing Squad. It's based on the incredible true story of inmates in an Indonesian prison who found hope and faith through Christ, even while living on death row and facing execution by firing squad. You are going to want to see the film. Right now, I want you to welcome the stars of The Firing Squad, actor, writer, producer, and my good friend Kevin Sorbo, and Academy Award winner Cuba Gooding Jr. Let me just begin by saying, I've never had a welcome quite like that when I come out. But there were two of you, so that's why. That's why it was like that. So happy to have both of you
Good to be here.
Yeah. You know, two of the great actors in our film world today, and that the two of you are in the same film, and it's a faith-based film. If people don't go out and see and support this movie, shame on them.
Yeah. Shame
Right?
on you.
Yeah, sure.
So let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you should applaud. Yes, you should. The last place one would think that there would be faith bubbling up is in an Indonesian prison.
Right.
So this is an unlikely place where God finds people and ends up finding a whole lot of people through those that he found.
That's right.
So walk us through a little bit of the plot. Cuba, I'll start with you. Just tell us, when we see this film, what's going to be the most surprising thing about it?
Well, the fact that it's based on true events, Kevin can tell you his character was incarcerated there close to 30-something years before he finally met his demise by a firing squad. And I play, James Barrington and I play an amalgamation of certain aspects of inmates that had been in this prison, characters that had gotten caught up in drugs in Indonesia and then sentenced to death to set an example for the rest of the world not to bring drugs into the country.
And so, Kevin, when you first saw the script and knew what the film was about, was your first reaction is, yeah, I want to be in it, or nah, nobody will believe that that story really happened?
I was the latter. I said yeah right away. I love true stories.
I do too, yeah.
Tim Chater he's directed this. I've known him for a long time. We kept talking about trying to work together. They've worked together before. He did a movie, it was Freedom.
Yeah.
And when I read for the character, my character's an American that was down there in his late 20s. He was surfing. He got in a fight with a local, and he killed him. He got the death sentence down there, and he was in prison for a long time. And during that time, he was a total atheist. He found God, and he became a pastor while he was in prison.
In the prison?
In the prison. And up until he was executed in 2015, so it's pretty recent, actually. He spent the rest of his life in that prison preaching every day to other inmates and to the guards as well.
And through his ministry in that prison, did it have an impact? I mean, were there other people who came to Christ?
Oh, many. James Barrington, who's really sort of the main focus in this, he reminded me of the way I was when I was in my 20s. I saw this angry kid come in there filled with nothing but hate and anger. And I thought of Hacksaw Ridge, where here's this guy in that movie Mel Gibson did, where he kept saying, "Please God, let me save one more before," And that's what my character did before he was murdered by firing squad, and he saved his life as well. He saved his soul.
And Cuba, I understand that as you've been a part of this film, it has had a profound impact on you on a personal level, just in the renewal of the faith that you've had since you were a child. But this really helped to kind of rekindle that fire.
Yeah, I mean, I played dark characters and light characters. I played O.J. Simpson. I played...
Which one was that?
Yeah, exactly. Nicky Barnes and American Gangster, but I've also had the honor and privilege to play men like Ben Carson in Gifted Hands, Master Chief Carl Bashir in Men of Honor, Dory Miller in Pearl Harbor, the wonderful story of the Tuskegee Airmen in Red Tails and the aforementioned Tuskegee Airmen movie. And so I know that God has given me this gift to bring truth to emotion. And here it was finally another long-awaited opportunity to use my gift to have truth to emotion to a movie that is faith-based, that actually services Him. So it was one of those moments when I read the script and I said, I'm at a time in my life to let the world know that this is who I am, and this is my foundation, my spiritual foundation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Kevin, you had mentioned your character actually ends up getting executed by the firing squad. A lot of people probably would say, well, that's a real downer of a movie when one of the main heroes of the film ends up still getting killed. He came to Christ, you'd think, okay, he's going to get off, but he didn't.
Why you tell the end of the movie?
Well, it's called firing.
Well, he already said he was going to. He already said his character got killed off. So there we go.
Well, you kind of brought it up. You kind of brought it up. I mean, that even in a dark place like that, you're on the death row for a murder that you committed. Even in a place like an Indonesian prison, God is there. And I think right now, more than anything, in our hate-filled, divisive, crazy world that we're living in right now, I think people are looking for hope.
Yeah.
And people are looking for a place to go down.
They absolutely are. We have a lot more to talk about after the break with Kevin Sorbo and Cuba Gooding Jr., so stay with us. In the meantime, Keith Bilbrey will tell us what's coming up later in the show.
Well, you don't want to miss the very funny ventriloquist Todd Oliver. Then a spectacular performance by American Idol runner-up Clark Beckham. It's coming up on Huckabee. Huckabee.tv and get your very own made in the USA Huckabee mugs, t-shirts, and more. Thank you. Coffee tastes great.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm talking with Kevin Sorbo and Cuba Gooding Jr., stars of the inspiring new film, The Firing Squad. When I see faith-based films that are well done in production value, I mean, they're as good as anything else Hollywood is putting out, and they have, world-renowned actors, and both of you are, Oscar-winning, incredible film career for both of you. What is so important that we need to remind an audience why they need to go buy tickets and support these kind of films? Because if they don't, what happens?
Well, I'll answer that quickly. I mean, the theater owners don't care what they show.
Yeah.
They want to sell popcorn and soda, so they'll keep anything in there. But when we're fighting against Hollywood's big $300 million movies with a $100 million advertising budget, we don't have that kind of budget to throw a trailer on every soap opera, sitcom, and sporting event. So we need opening weekend, word of mouth. I mean, God's Not Dead is a perfect example of a $2 million movie that made $140 million. And thank you all for watching God's Not Dead. So we need that support. We need people to show up and support these movies because they'll keep it going. And it really comes down to the strong word of mouth.
That's right.
I'm a film buff. I love movies. I don't really watch, I know this will be a shock to most people, but I don't watch a lot of just TV, sitting around watching TV. I just don't. But I love movies, and I love true stories, and I love movies that don't make me feel like I got to go take a shower once I've seen them because they're so filthy.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah. But I love and that's one of the things about The Firing Squad. This is an inspirational movie. Yeah. It challenges me with a real, honest-to-goodness, authentic story. But Cuba, one of the things about this, even in spite of what are some pretty tough moments, the message of this film is not one of despair.
That's right.
It is a message of hope and optimism. And if a person can survive and make it and grow in Christ in an Indonesian prison,
that's right.
They probably can do it in the USA.
That's right, and I believe that's why people go to the movies. You sit there for 2 hours, you might have some horrible medical diagnosis or you're grieving the loss of someone, and you see a story like this where even in their darkest hour, these men find faith and they renew their faith in God. And you say, if they can do that and that, I can deal with what I'm dealing with. And hopefully if the audience can take just a fraction of that away, then we did our job.
Well, I think this is going to be one of the favorite films of the people who have followed both of your careers. But excluding Firing Squad, which, again, I want to remind everybody, opens August the 2nd, so start getting your tickets now. Do you have a favorite of your films? You've got lots of them out there.
I mean,
is there one that you just, when you embrace it, you say, boy, that I really enjoy doing that?
I mean, it's always the ones that are based on real people, especially, you know, when I'll never forget when I first read the script to Tuskegee Airmen. I was in my late 20s and was angry that I didn't know that this history, that black men flew P-52 jets in the war and aided to the war effort. And so after that, I sought out these stories of African Americans and their contribution to our country as we know it, in the history of our country.
Yeah.
So it would be films like Men of Honor, films like, you know, like I say, Gifted Hands, and even James Robert Radio Kennedy, this mentally handicapped kid that brought so much hope and joy to this Hannah High School. These are the movies that make me the proudest.
Well, they make us all love your acting career, but also love the stories that you portray on the screen. Men of Honor, honestly, I don't know how many times I've seen it. My wife has probably seen it 40 times. It's one of her favorites. And you can't watch that film without weeping. I mean, you just can't. It's just such an inspiration. Yeah. Can I tell you both, you're going to be very proud of this one. It may be one that when people see it, they'll be totally blown away by the story and the message. And your portrayal of the characters in it, absolutely stellar. Thank you for being here. What a thrill and an honor and a pleasure. The Firing Squad opens nationwide on August the 2nd. Here's what I ask you to do. Go to Huckabee.tv. We have a link for tickets so you can go. Also a link for where the theaters are going to be near you and how to buy group tickets for your church, which you should do, for your school, your other group, that maybe you're a small group in your church. But here's another thing. You can make a donation to the Million Souls campaign. What's that do? Provide free tickets to reach 1 million people with this powerful message of Christian faith. Wouldn't you like to be part of that? I think you would. And what a great gift to others to put them in a theater where they're going to see the gospel presented in a powerful way. Speaking of powerful things, our powerful announcer, Keith Bilbrey, is going to powerfully tell you about the powerful things we still have coming up on this very powerful show. Keith?
We'll stay right where you are. Todd Oliver, the ventriloquist, performs next. You're watching Huckabee.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to those who have been affected by the devastating effects of Hurricane Beryl. Through Samaritan's Purse, you have the unique opportunity to be a part of a global mission that is reaching people from all walks of life. Not only is Samaritan's Purse on the ground providing real physical help, but they're also bringing the message of Jesus Christ. As you know, disasters can happen anywhere, anytime. And Samaritan's Purse is ready to respond at a moment's notice. I hope you'll consider supporting Samaritan's Purse. That's the only way that they can continue to help those in need and deliver the gospel all over the world. You can give, real simply, scan the QR code that's on your screen, or you can visit the Samaritan's Purse website, or even call them today. Thanks, and God bless. Well, when Todd Oliver was with us on the show before, we loved him and his talking dog, Irvin. In fact, I was so impressed by his unique entertainment that my wife and I went to Branson, Missouri. We bought tickets to his show. We just showed up, and we laughed so hard. We were on the front row, for heaven's sakes, almost on the stage. But we had the time of our lives because Todd's family-friendly and wildly entertaining show is just what the doctor ordered. We loved it. I couldn't wait to bring him back, so I want you to give a big welcome to one of the most underappreciated people in show business. Please welcome Todd Oliver.
Well, thank you. How about a little music? Let's go.
are you doing? Get me out of here. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm waiting on you. Okay. Ready to go. I'm ready to go. Yes. I'm ready to go. Okay. Ready to go. Yes. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Oh.
Do you always fall down? I don't fall up. Okay. Come on.
What you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, my little friend Pops, everybody. Give him a hand. Yeah, all right.
Look at here. We're here today.
Yes,
It's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Pops.
What are you going to get me?
What are you going to get me?
Close your eyes. All right. What do you see?
Nothing.
Happy birthday. What are you going to get me?
I got you a nice audience.
Oh, you did too, didn't you? Look at there. Oh, my goodness. Hey there. She's got something that'll knock your eyes out.
What's that?
Her husband.
Don't they look happily married?
She looks happy. He looks married.
Listen, he's a big dude. He's a big guy. He got big feet, too. Stop it.
I bet if you take your shoes and socks off, you're half naked.
Listen, hey, he's a big guy. You're a little guy.
Who cares? You're the one pulling the string. I go back in that piano bench. Look out there.
I have a couple up there, married 55 years. The bride still looks stunning. And the groom, he looks stunned. Okay. Well, yeah.
Oh, what are we going to do now?
Well, what have you been doing in Nashville? I don't know. You gone to any of the tourist spots?
Yeah, I went to the dollar store.
Oh.
And then a woman there, she said, I do all my shopping at the dollar store. That way I don't have to get dressed up like when you go to Walmart.
So you made a friend?
Yeah, she took me dancing last night. We got on the dance floor and she started to grow taller and taller. That's when I figured out she had a wooden leg and I was spinning her in the wrong direction.
I don't think you'll ever see her again.
That's her sitting right there. No.
What do you think? Well, maybe it's time that you take a wife.
Okay, I'll take that one right there. No. I want to get me a birthday kiss.
A birthday kiss?
Yeah, who?
Well, we have a lot of nice people here. Maybe the lady over there.
Which one?
Well, the one waving with the pretty red hair. Maybe she'll come up and we give her some encouragement. Come on, could we give her a little hand? Hi, come up here.
Yeah. Come to daddy.
Well, hello.
Just give me one right there on the cheek there, right there. Ready to go! What are you looking at, Granny? You're next.
Well, no, here, maybe a handshake would be better.
You're a lovely girl, and enjoy the show. God love you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. How about a hand for Stacy, too? Yeah.
All righty.
Hello, Governor.
Hello.
Governor. Nice to see you.
Very happy to have you, and I'm not kissing you. I'm telling you that right now. I ain't kissing you.
Oh, I ain't that kind of dummy.
You can catch Todd Oliver at the Little Opry Theater in Branson. That's where my wife and I saw him. You know, there's a lot of great things to do in Branson, but if you miss Todd Oliver's show, you're going to miss one of the most pleasurable experiences in this wonderful entertainment center. And on September the 28th at the People's Bank Theater in Marietta, Ohio, Todd Oliver is going to be there. I hope you will be too. If you'd like to see more or book him for your event, which would be a lot of fun, visit Huckabee.tv. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider clicking the subscribe button below and the notification bell next to it so you don't miss any of our future videos when they go up online.